Good Friday afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us here on RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez, the president and the White House. Right now, we have the schedule, of course, currently listed as closed press today. If anything changes, of course, we'll have it here for you, especially over the course of this next couple hours here live on Right Side. Also, you can follow us on all of our social media platforms as well. In the meantime, we start our broadcast with the latest in Iran. President Trump on Truth Social this morning saying, quote, "The terms that Iran leaked out to the fake news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to in writing. What they said, including their weak and pathetic statement on having a deal, bears no relation to the truth. Very dishonorable people to deal with. With them, there is no such thing as dealing in good faith." Amazing. President Trump also says, their totally rebuffed drone attack last night against Indian ships leaving the Hormuz Strait is totally unacceptable. They better get their act together and fast. President Donald J. Trump on this Friday, June 12th. Let's go now to Florida. There's an election integrity expert, John Goodman, that is joining us right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Hello, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Matthew. Thank you for having me on.
Definitely. Let's talk about election integrity. Tell us the work that you've been doing and what you're seeing out there. I know the Save America Act has not passed yet.
That's right. When we're going to break some news right here on RSBN while I'm on the show, Matthew. So what's going on is we knew that the SAVE Act was in trouble from day one because the filibuster was never broken by the Republicans. And there's only 53 Republican senators. And so it needs 60. So we knew it was in trouble because 7 Democrats would have had to vote for the SAVE Act, even if every single Republican did. And 7 Democrats weren't going to vote for a bill that takes away their cheating mechanisms. So we knew it was in trouble. So our friend Steve Stern, who got me together with you, our friend Steve Stern, he got me together with Wayne Allen Root, and we started talking about how can we come up with something that can work before the midterms that doesn't have Democrat obstruction or court obstruction. And Wayne asked me about a national security emergency. And I thought about it for just a minute, and I said, I need to do some research and see if that's legal, if it can be done before the midterms, et cetera, et cetera. And I've worked with Peter Tickton and Jerome Corsi and some of the White House people occasionally, not every day, but occasionally on some election issues. And as it turns out, per a 1983 Supreme Court decision, in order to overturn a presidential national security emergency, it takes 2/3 of both chambers, both, Matthew, the House and the Senate, within 6 months of the date a president signs a national security emergency. So this is what he's going to do. Jerome Corsi has been very vocal with me. I work with him, and he's been very vocal of starting to come public with it. The SAVE Act will be incorporated into this national security emergency. The president supports the SAVE Act, but he knows it's in trouble. So voter registration, voter ID, proof of citizenship, and of course, a drawback to the SAVE Act, Matthew, as you already know, it did not had nothing about voting machines and going to hand count paper ballots. That wasn't even in the SAVE Act. That will be in the national security emergency. What the country is going to see is a gradual rollout of undisputable proof that 2020 was stolen, and that will be leading up to the president declaring this national security emergency on elections.
Well, let's stop you there for a second. First, I'm 100% for the Save America Act. Also, part of it is the stopping the extra mail-in ballots, of course, unless it's for medical, military, and any other instances. But right now, you're saying something that the president is going to do when it comes to declaring a national security emergency to enact the Save America Act that has a few extra components to it. So my question is, wow, that took a lot of air to say that. The security situation that was down on the southern border, President Trump, he said there's a national security problem. It's a national emergency. The military was dispatched. I have not seen one source from the White House or any other reporting or any inside baseball talk on what you're talking about. So where are you getting this information right now when it comes to some sort of national emergency that can be put out there from the president that could actually make the Save America Act pass? Can you break that down for us?
Well, the Save America Act is probably not going to pass, Matthew. The point is, in the national security emergency, it will have in it all of the election elements that were in the Save Act, plus more, plus the voting machines and the paper ballots. So it's not going to be marketed as the Save Act. It's going to be the components of the Save Act that dealt with elections in the national security
Hey, I mean, this
emergency.
all this all sounds great, to be honest, just from the
Okay.
surface, but we have to
Mhm.
drill down a little bit. So,
Sure.
would you share your source with us? Is this something that, if it's a source at the White House, are they giving you approval to talk about this? Like, this is catching me off guard, but that's all right. I'm ready to ask the question back. So, yeah, where are you getting that information?
Well, I don't have a problem with, I'm not a name dropper, but I can back up what I'm telling you, of course. Um, Dr. Jerome Corsi, who is one of President Trump's election czars, he was on Wayne Root's show on May 21st, and I can do a pretty close quote where he says, the SAVE Act, although supported by the president does not think it's the end solution, unquote. And then he talks about the national security emergency multiple times and says that's the track President Trump is on. And so that source is very reliable. I've worked with Jerome for years, and he's not only a conservative, but he's also a conservative with what comes out of his mouth. And so and also that 1983 decision by the Supreme Court, Matthew, that it takes two-thirds of both the House and the Senate to overturn a presidential national security emergency. As soon as I found that case law, I called Peter Tickton. I called Peter Tickton, and a few days later, here's Wayne Root saying, I'm sending it to President Trump. It's legal. It can be done with no obstruction. And then I got a call from Dr. Corsi, and Steve Stern got a call from Dr. Corsi. They were at Mar-a-Lago. President Trump wasn't there, but it was the legal team discussing the strategy, and they had read Wayne's monologue in the Gateway Pundit, and they called to say that the team is in agreement that that is probably the best option. And then since then, I've told you he has done that interview with Wayne Allen Root. And so, Wayne came up with a raw idea, and then I checked into it, and we've sort of teamed up. But he originated it. It looks like that the White House agrees with it.
Okay, so that's a little bit different tone. You were saying it's confirmed that the president will be making some announcement about this a minute ago, and then now it's more like, hey, they're on track to doing it. I just want to make sure we get it really accurate because this is a very obviously big deal. The country wants the Save America Act. The people do. We see that President Trump does. We see that a number of other senators do. Unfortunately, we don't have all of the Republican Senate on board with it. But we'll see what happens here. I'm really surprised to hear all
Well,
of this.
I'm not backtracking whatsoever. There's going to be a rollout leading up to it, and there is no other option. And the White House knows it because think about this, Matthew, for you and your fans and the viewers of RSBN. You can't do an executive order. It would be challenged. It would never wind through the judicial system in time to even help for the midterms. And there is value to the SAVE Act, maybe in 2028, maybe for the census in 2030 when the Democrats are trying to get illegal aliens counted as citizens. So I'm not here to hate on the SAVE Act. I'm here to say, realistically, what can be done in the next 140 days? And that is what is going to happen, whether it sounds strange to you or not. The SAVE Act, they're trying to do budget reconciliation, as you know. It didn't work the first time. The parliamentarian got in the way. But even if the SAVE Act was to somehow get through this time with 51 votes, it still does not address voting machines. It does not address, because you can have great security on the front end, but the last step is when it goes in the tabulator. So it can be all above board all the way to the voting machine, and then it come apart. And so that's why he's going to have to do that anyway, even if the Save Act passed.
So,
If that makes sense.
and just for the record, to be clear, the only pushback is not against a national security emergency, not against, getting rid of machines, not against anything when it comes to free and fair elections. I mean, we're a friend of Mike Lindell, of course. He's on the network a lot. So we get what is needed for free and fair elections. The only pushback that I'm giving you now here live is because obviously we didn't have a pre-interview, so I didn't know you were going to have this information. So we're just going to do it live on TV, which is totally cool with me because I like the transparency. So again, the pushback is not against anything to save the country with elections. However, the source is interesting. We're going to see if President Trump will make this announcement sometime this year. Now, we know that there's a Recon 3.0, so a reconciliation bill 3.0 that President Trump talked about on Truth Social just the other day, saying that he wants to have several $100 billion go towards the Department of War. And he said within that framework would also be the Save America Act. So if it doesn't pass within that framework, like the last one didn't pass, I hear you, as it could be the slower rollout as time goes on. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm trying to figure out this source and this situation because I would love to see this actually happen.
Let me say this, Matthew, and your point is very well taken. You're very knowledgeable. I've watched you a lot, but here's the story. Whatever passes legislatively, if the SAVE Act should pass legislatively, law is that that can even be challenged if there's something deemed unconstitutional in that past legislation. Now, Mark Elias is going to say banning men and women's sports is unconstitutional. You're suppressing the votes with mail in ballot limits. So, again, we're back to my earlier statement to you that even if it passed, like you said, with the 3.0 recon, it's going to immediately end up in appeals court and will never be adjudicated before the midterms. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not hating against the SAVE Act. I'm just saying it's too late for the SAVE Act. They should have started it a year earlier. And plus, John Thune, very incompetent because you have to break the filibuster before you ever should have brought the SAVE Act into public view. So really, the national security emergency is the only boom. As soon as he signs it, it takes effect. 2/3 from both houses within 6 months, period. But President Trump doesn't even have to prove the election of 2020 was stolen because it takes 2/3 majority in both houses. But he feels the American people need to see the proof leading up to him signing it. And I think that's a good thing. Transparency, as you were saying.
Exactly. And so if that's the case, if that's what's happened, or if that's what happens and President Trump makes this announcement, I believe the country, myself, all of us on the right side of history, which is the mass majority of this nation, wants to see the country saved. And one way to do that is through this possible national security emergency that you're talking about. So we'll see what happens. And maybe President Trump, who knows, will make the announcement at that RNC midterm convention. Before we let you go, John, let's just talk about that quickly. We know that there's going to be an RNC midterm national convention, just like there are those conventions in the presidential cycle, this time for the midterms. Your thoughts about something like that, also rallying support going into the midterms, but also maybe he'll make that announcement. Who knows?
Yeah, he's going to make the announcement closer to the election. As I said, they'll be rolling out gradual proof, undeniable proof. But I think what you're talking about, I'm going to label that as a strategy session. Um, as far as the pre-convention, I'm going to label that as a strategy session. Where they stand, what's popular, what's not, and maybe he will announce it then. It would be appropriate. But this is what is on track to happen. That's why Steve Stern put me in touch with you. And this is why, I speak to people that are directly in the line with President Trump on the communication, or I would not be on your show today I have a stellar record as an election integrity expert. I don't need the attention. All I need is the same thing you need, and that's called free and fair elections.
And working together is the way to do it. And I've been on a number of the precinct strategy Zoom phone calls over the past 2 to 3 years with Steve Stern and the whole crew there. They do a great job. So do you. John Goodman from Florida. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, sir. Well, good stuff right there. That's an interesting aspect of things, and we'll see if that's what happens. If it happens, hey, we'll report on it. Good stuff. All right, let's go to a few of our sponsors in the meantime here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Summer travel season, of course, is here. You may have planned the flights, or maybe it's a road trip. You booked the hotel, packed the bags, but did you think about maybe the medications? Most people don't until they're 3 states away and realize they left something important at home. Or maybe someone gets sick and there's no doctor in sight. That's why more Americans are turning to our good sponsor, All Family Pharmacy, before they travel. So if you already have a prescription for essential medications, they can fill it. If not, complete a short medical form online and they connect you with a licensed doctor who will review your request and prescribe if appropriate. They have more than 400 medications: antibiotics, ivermectin, allergy meds, emergency inhalers, maintenance medications. Everything can be shipped straight to your door. So don't wait until something goes wrong. Prepare now. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code. You get that 10% off. Great American independent pharmacy right there in All Family Pharmacy. Also, if you'd like to buy some gold and put some silver in your pocket at the same time, you could do that. But some people might be thinking it's quite expensive to buy some gold these days. How would you purchase it? Well, check this out. One thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is diversifying your retirement savings. So Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold, something that's a hedge against inflation. And check this out. Right now, Birch Gold is giving you that free Special America 250 1-ounce silver round. Again, when I say free, it comes along with, as long as you have that $10,000 purchase by July 19th. For every $10,000 that you purchase, you'll get that free coin there. 10 years ago, of course, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. But the question is, where will it be 10 years from now? So just text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th. Again, text Trump to the number 989898 today. All right, so it's 1:18, Friday, June 12th. If there's any live breaking news that happens within our live broadcast, we'll bring it to you. In the meantime, let's do this. Let's go to conservative host Eden Hill, who we interviewed pretty recently. We have a number of other interviews, including with country superstar Lee Greenwood and some other people too. We'll be right back. Here is the next interview. And joining us now on RSBN is conservative host Eden Gordon Hill. Thank you again for joining us here on Right Side.
Absolutely. It's so great to be back with you, and an early happy Father's Day to those out there, including yourself, as we are honoring our America fathers and those who have served and those who have gone before us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, June 21st, Father's Day. We'll get to that in just a second. And we'll also get to an op-ed that you penned recently. Before we get to those two topics, of course, well, it's kind of similar. July 4th is around the corner. We're about to celebrate 250. Your thoughts about that?
Oh, I'm so excited about America 250. At my show, as you mentioned, we have been just really wanting to focus on pro-America authors, pro-America for reigniting the next generation, really wanting to emphasize the importance of reading, re-emphasize the importance of what General Washington did and then became President Washington, and really having these children, this next generation, understand what our founding fathers did as we celebrate America 250. But more importantly, understanding our freedoms, I think, that we take for granted. We get to wake up and breathe free air. We get to wake up and live in a free country where we don't have to worry about communism, socialism, Marxism taking over and impeding into our homeland. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that. Being a veteran spouse, living in a military community, you see it day in and day out of our freedoms. So celebrating July 4th, but this whole year has been exciting because we have been able to celebrate the Army's birthday. We've been able to celebrate the Navy's birthday, and we've been able to celebrate all of these precious things that have happened in our nation to lead us up to this point. So we can then celebrate another 250 years. And because it's by the grace of God, this country was founded on God. It was founded on the Bible. What better way than to celebrate our God, our country, and our families?
Perfectly put. There's really not much more to say to that. That's exactly right. That's what we the people are saying. The majority of the country saying amen to you on that, or amen to God on your comments there. And I also understand you penned an op-ed in the Washington Stand titled "America's Founding Fathers: A Legacy of Service." Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. So this is the third part in my series, the Culture and Family and Faith series for the Washington Stand, which is by the Family Research Council. And I wanted to, for Father's Day this year, I wanted to honor America 250 and our founding fathers. I wanted to highlight General Washington and what he did for this nation. And then, honestly, at the end of the day, he wanted to go back to Mount Vernon and work on his farm. But the country said, no, you need to become our first president. And so I wanted to highlight what he did during the Revolutionary War, that he led our nation on his knees. And I wanted to bring that and then think about the Battle Hymn of the Republic, the beautiful Battle Hymn of the Republic and the words that we think about then, and then bring it to the forefront of my father-in-law's service during the Vietnam era. My grandfather, both grandfathers served during World War II. And in the article, my father helped co-write the article with me and talked about my grandfather, his father's service on the Liberty ship heading to Europe during World War II. And basically the life-changing effects that he had by faith, realizing that there was something greater than himself, leaving the farming community of Pennsylvania, getting on the Liberty ship, and really coming to have a more powerful faith than ever before. His mother always, and really took him to church every Sunday, fed him the Bible, fed him good food, but it really was taking that independent aspect of leaving his comfort zone and realizing that there was something greater for him, and that's our God. So I wanted to really thread through our family's military service, but then also thinking too, we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of 9/11. And my friends from the Naval Academy and the Marine Corps and my husband's service in the United States Army, all serving during Iraq and Afghanistan. And a friend of mine who's going to be coming on to my show in a couple of weeks said to me, he was like, Eden, I came back able to have children, able to raise my daughters, but a lot of my friends did not make it back and were not able to raise their children. And it's a duty and a sacrifice for us to remember their service, to remember their memories, and also to ignite and tell the stories to their children of what their fathers did for them. And just really bringing that whole story together to honor our country's service, our founding fathers, and those who did not make it home.
It's perfectly said. It's perfectly what needs to happen too when it comes to our American independence. And you brought up George Washington, you brought up Pennsylvania. Let's put those together. And outside of Independence Hall, there is a statue, of course, in Philadelphia, where our founding fathers were in that building right there at Independence Hall. And there's a George Washington statue right out front, our first president. And just to the left, or just across the street, is the Liberty Bell. I mean, this is a lot of patriotic stuff, and it's great to see it. It's great to honor it and respect it. And I believe across the country, people are like yourself when it comes to just loving our nation. I mean, don't you? I mean, simply the soil, our own land. Don't you love our land?
Oh, absolutely. From sea to shining sea. I always say to all of my audience, from sea to shining sea, as you take the all-American road trip this year, or if you are doing a staycation or you're going to the beach, going to the mountains, there's so much rich in soil, as you said, in this nation. Whether it's Branson, Missouri, one of my favorite places in this country to go celebrate America, or whether it is going to San Diego to the USS Midway, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Top Gun, but also celebrating those who are currently serving, or whether it is coming to Eastern North Carolina to the USS North Carolina and the battleship to recognize our veterans and those who served. And for example, the Spitfires of World War II, the female pilots that were not able to join the military here in our nation during that time period because they hadn't opened it up yet for women. They went to the UK to serve, but never were recognized. So Memorial Day of this year, they were recognized, some from the great state of North Carolina, but from sea to shining sea, there are so many different historical places in this nation that I think we have just scratched the surface. I also know in my backyard is the Museum of the Marine for the Marine Corps base here in Eastern North Carolina. And it has been just a beautiful work in progress all of these years, and now is telling the history of the Marine Corps and those who've served. And I'm just scratching the surface again with all of our amazing museums in this nation, but it talks about all the great places that we can go and travel to and educate our families and enjoy what this country was really founded upon. And you know what? One of my favorites, I'm going to mention this, as we head into July 4th, they are doing a huge recognition of our Navy ships in New York City, July 4th. And I sit there and think of the Statue of Liberty. I sit there and think of Ellis Island and all of the powerful historical times that we had that really took place in New York City. So I want to encourage your audience, if you are unable to travel, that's fine. Go in your backyard because you have no idea what is rich in soil in your backyard. And also, if you can travel to a new city, travel to a new museum where you can educate yourself, educate your kids, or educate your grandkids on just the power of this nation and what we fought for.
And we hope for another 250 years of freedom here in the United States of America, from Williamsburg, Virginia, Jamestown, where it all started with the English settlers, all across our land. Conservative host Eden Gordon Hill, thank you again for joining us, and what you do for the country is awesome out there, as a host, as people that work in communications, PR, all the things. Thank you so much for what you do, joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Oh, thank you so much, Matthew. God bless you guys. Happy Father's Day and happy birthday, America.
Amen. Thank you. All right, let's do this. Let's go to a few of our sponsors, as we have a couple headlines that we're following here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's first go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, Father's Day, that sale is right there. It's happening right now. So it's June 12th. So June 21st, of course, is Father's Day. You have a little bit of time right now if you want to get any of these products and get it in the mail and maybe a gift for Dad on June 21st. Again, the Father's Day sale, you see all the great products right there, including the premium My Pillows, the Giza Dream Sheets, a lot of good stuff there. mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you got to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. Again, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Meantime, in tech and finance news, Elon Musk has become the world's first trillionaire. This after SpaceX went public today. Quite the accomplishment there for Elon, of course, for those that are following tech and finance. Just wanted to update you on that breaking news happening. As we're taking a live look there at the U.S. Capitol building. Beautiful, beautiful blue skies there as we look at the Capitol. The Freedom 250 UFC fight is 48 hours away. Here's a time lapse of the setup and some statements from Dana White and the Secretary of State. Take a look.
I've always had this philosophy that, thank God, ended up being true. It doesn't matter what color you are, what country you come from, what language you speak, we're all human beings and fighting's in our DNA. We get it and we like it. Laid in my hotel room in England many times trying to figure out cricket. Never going to happen, but fighting in any language, as humans, we all get it. And what's been fascinating in our run over the last 25 years is how, when we go into these different countries, presidents of the countries or royal families from these different countries, everybody loves the fights. And more importantly, if somebody looks like you, talks like you, and comes from where you come from, and they're looked at as the best in the world when it comes to fighting, the entire country rallies around them, and it's a pretty powerful thing. So I want to thank Secretary Rubio for all of his support, and like Lawrence said, we are absolutely honored to be here and to be a part of this. Thank you, everybody.
The White House is the people's house. It belongs to the people of the United States. The American 250 celebration belongs to the people of the United States. And there are millions and millions of Americans from all walks of life that are not necessarily attuned to politics or the financial markets or anything else, but they love the sport. And every Saturday, we've got a big event once a month, they're tuning in and they're watching and they host it. For them to be able to see this event with their White House in the background as part of our celebration as a country in our 250 years, I think is a gift to the American people. That's what Sunday is about. It's a gift to the American people. They're going to see their White House in their capital on their nation's birthday, celebrating with a historic event. We could have had a band, and we have great bands. We could have done a Shakespeare in the Park production. There are a lot of things we could have done with it, but this one will have people watching, probably over, 1 billion people all over the world. 1 billion people all over the world will be watching America celebrate its 250th birthday with the White House in the background and some of the best athletes in the world in that octagon. And we're happy to be a part of that, and we're happy to be a part of all the things we're going to be working on together in the years to come.
And then on top of that, behind the White House there, you might see a little bit of the top of the stage of the UFC fight that's going to happen there. Again, on Sunday, June 14th, of course, Flag Day, President Trump's birthday, and then a UFC fight on the South Lawn. And then, of course, 10 days after that, June 24th, the president will be speaking at the National Mall there in Washington, D.C. for the America is Back rally. Of course, you can watch that coverage right here on RSBN. Meantime, let's just quickly go to clip 11 as we see the United States Air Force Thunderbirds and the U.S. Navy Blue Angels do a practice flyover in D.C. This happened moments ago. Let's take a look.
Yeah. There it is.
I know many of you may have seen the Blue Angels, at different air shows across the country. I have maybe 2 or 3 times now. I've never seen the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, hoping to see that someday. We just saw a couple video pictures of it, but that's pretty awesome. You don't see that every day going over 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And speaking of the U.S. Navy, they recently posted a video about NASA's Artemis 3 crew. Let's check out clip number 3.
I mean, what kid doesn't dream about working for NASA and recovering astronauts that are going to space? You know what I mean? Like, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and to be a part of such a global event and something, it's truly amazing. I'm at a loss for words for it. It's really an experience.
I think it's incredible to be even, remotely involved. The portion that we're doing is the recovery is, the last step of this huge mission of Artemis. It's truly incredible to be a part of it and be in the Navy, be able to do it.
Houston, Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
And one of the ships you can see up close this week has been involved in some missions that you could say are out of this world.
How early did the training begin for the mission? I would say several years ago, with multiple underway training missions on LPDs, as well as several trips to Houston, as well as Cape Canaveral.
We practice for this all the time. We do this all the time. It's normal stuff for us. It's just going to be a little different with astronauts coming back from space.
So when Integrity splashes down and lands on Earth, we will make first contact. And the first faces they will see will be U.S. Navy Dive Medical.
As we walk through that capsule, that excitement, I see Ike to my left, smiling, give him a big fist pump. I see Christina to my right, double fist pump, smile, you know, welcome home.
Welcome home, brother. There it is, me. What's up? Welcome home, brother.
I was thrilled to see that all the crew was in good health. It was very important for us.
Our primary mission as Navy divers is to approach the capsule, deem it safe and clear, and then when the astronauts are being offloaded, they've been checked, they're good to go, they will approach the front porch, which is pretty much just like a giant life raft, and and then get picked up by helicopters.
The recovery.
My specific role, I will be the first rescue swimmer to rescue the first astronaut coming back from space.
Okay, big deal. No pressure.
Yeah, huge.
What does it take to...
We're going to have the comms on the ship letting us know where the capsule is and everything like that. They're on the front porch, and then it's go time for us. We get that call that they're ready and packaged for us. I'm already going to be dressed out. I'm sitting right here in this cabin. Hoist is coming down to me. I'm getting connected. Once we're on that approach to that front porch, I'm already going down the hoist. Once my feet are on deck on that front porch, it's connected. I'm connecting the astronaut to me, and then we're bringing astronauts back into the aircraft. And then rinse and repeat for the second one and second aircrafts.
Impressive flying here by the Navy. Down of the first helicopter carrying 2 of our Artemis II crew, pilot Victor Glover and mission specialist Christina Cook. And here we go. We're seeing Jeremy. Reed looking good as he takes his steps. And there you go. We now have all 4 Artemis II crew members on the USS John P. Murtha.
So the capsule will have to be towed back into the well deck. The biggest thing is we want to make sure we have good, solid connection points from the ship to the capsule. NASA has, a big winch on the boat that's going to be pulling the capsule back into.
Good evening to the crew of the John P. Murtha. You have the Artemis II crew here, the Integrity crew here.
Hey, Reed Wiseman, it's an honor to be on board your vessel.
Christina Cook, thanks for catching us.
This is Jeremy Hansen. Heartfelt appreciation for all you've done for us.
And then Artemis 3, of course, 2027, so we'll keep our eyes out for that. In case you missed it this week, the president signed the Secure America Act. Check out this video from the White House.
This morning, I'm thrilled to sign the Secure America Act to immediately and fully fund the Department of Homeland Security through the end of my term to ensure these critical law enforcement agencies have the necessary resources to do their jobs, protecting our borders and getting criminal aliens out of the country. And starting on day 1 of my administration, we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border people out of this country. We got them out.
All right, so FISA is expected to expire today. We're going to go to Texas in just a minute to interview Representative Keith Self. Before we do, let's go to All Family Pharmacy. Of course, summer travel season is here. You've maybe planned the flights or the road trip, booked the hotel, packed the bags, but did you think about your medications? Most people don't until they're 3 states away and realize they left something important at home. Or someone gets sick and there's no doctor in sight. That's why more Americans are turning to our good sponsor at All Family Pharmacy before they travel. So if you already have a prescription for essential medications, they can fill it out. If not, complete a short medical form online and they connect you with a licensed doctor who will review your request and prescribe if appropriate. They have more than 400 medications, antibiotics, ivermectin, allergy meds, emergency inhalers, maintenance medications, pretty much everything that can be shipped straight to your door. So don't wait until something goes wrong. Just prepare now. Just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You'll save that 10% at checkout. RSBN10 is the promo code. Great American independent pharmacy right there with All Family Pharmacy. Birch Gold Group, you know, a lot of people, actually Tax Network, let's go to that one instead. Meantime, we know that there are a number of financial questions out there, and these are some of them. Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? Or have you filed every year but still keep owing? Or did you retire and suddenly get hit with a tax bill you didn't expect? Or maybe you're a business owner with messy books and a balance you can't afford. Well, maybe another option is you pulled money from your 401k or IRA early and now the IRS wants its share. However your tax issue started, the outcome, unfortunately, is the same. Your balance is just not going down. Penalties are growing, interest compounds, and a lot of people that have to owe this year or maybe in years past, you still have all these situations you're dealing with. Well, that's why you have Tax Network USA, because the IRS, they're not waiting. They're enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, property seizures, and they can even file for you without your consent. And this is really where Tax Network USA comes in. With that more than 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. And they can do the same for you, but you have to call now. They're offering this free investigation call with the IRS. After the investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and hopefully get you right back on track. So this is really about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Just give them a call there, 877-479-6503, or go to tnusa.com/RSBN. Tax Network USA. We'll get to Birch Gold Group in just a little bit. Of course, some great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. As I mentioned earlier, FISA is set to expire today. But what does that mean for our national security and Americans' privacy? Here's Texas Representative Keith Self with more. And joining us now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network is Texas Representative Keith Self. Thank you so much for joining us again, sir.
Great to be here, you bet.
So a ton of people are talking about FISA. So this interview, of course, airing on the day it's supposed to so-called expire. Can we just back up a little bit? Could we just talk about why FISA is a thing and then what is next for it?
Yeah, absolutely. FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, is a very important tool to surveil foreign actors on foreign territory. And that's the key, because it has been swept up and used to surveil U.S. citizens, U.S. persons, which is not quite the same, someone in America. That's the problem. I think everybody understands that FISA needs reform. Even some Democrats agree with us that FISA needs reform. We shouldn't be surveilling U.S. citizens. So it's supposed to expire tomorrow, after a 45-day extension by the Congress that followed a 10-day extension earlier. So we are running out of runway here, running out of time. We need to get this done rather than continuing to kick the can down the road, because there are several elements to this, and one is a warrant. We need a warrant if you're going to surveil a U.S. citizen. It's the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. It is not a suggestion. It's a Bill of Rights amendment, the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution.
Exactly. And, you know, we see the Gadsden flag. It says, "Do not tread on us." But then we saw the flag that you guys are talking about there on the House floor, "Do not spy on us." And also on X, you said, quote, "To our adversaries, FISA does not go completely dark on Friday. While Section 702 would lapse, the United States would still retain numerous authorities and capabilities to identify, monitor, and disrupt foreign threats against our nation and its citizens. Claiming otherwise to justify warrantless surveillance of Americans is a weak argument." So a lot of people talking about this, even, you know, staff here at the network are saying, yeah, you have to have the Fourth Amendment. This is something you just don't mess with, do you?
No, absolutely you don't. And let's cover two things that you mentioned here. First of all, it expires through the congressional action. But the FISA court has already ordered collection through March of 2027, next year. And frankly, there's some question of whether or not the providers would continue to provide what they requested. But we have precedent from 2008 that says, yes, you will, under the court order, the FISA court order, to continue to provide the surveillance requested of foreign actors on foreign land. Now, let's go to the executive order. There is an executive order that, frankly, the intelligence community thinks gives them more authority than FISA to collect on foreigners. So again, I will say, I think this is a misleading argument to say it's going to go dark. It's not going to go dark. It's going to continue. And I continue to warn our enemies, don't plan on it going dark. We will find you, we will catch you, and prosecute you.
And then on top of that, for people that are watching here domestically, the great United States citizens, again, why is it so important right now when it comes to what we're really facing? It's called Just Don't Spy on Us. I think that's really something to reiterate as well, right?
Absolutely. We don't want to be spied on. Americans do not like to be spied on. We still like our privacy. And yet we're in the midst of a pretty extensive surveillance state. We need the warrant on this. We've got the central bank digital currency that we have not yet passed. Well, the House has in the last session. We've passed a permanent ban on CBDC, and it sits in the Senate today. So the Senate hasn't taken it up. That's a central bank digital currency, transparency into your bank account. Look, we need to change the definition of what an electronic communications provider is. Because right now, when they give an order to an electronic company for their data, they also give them a non-disclosure agreement, which is a gag order. Says you can't tell anybody about it. It's just wrong under the American system. Then we've got the kill switch that is in law today that will start in 2027. Every car made in 2027 will be able to spy on you. If they think you're impaired, like you're excited because your wife is having a baby and you're trying to get to the hospital, it won't start because it thinks you are impaired. And then the flock cameras, we've got over 100,000 and growing every day around the United States. This is a surveillance state that Americans just don't like.
Exactly right. And the people in Europe probably don't like it, but it's much more advanced out there. We don't want to see that here, of course. Let's shift gears now. The president just signing the Secure America Act into law at the White House this week. Your reaction, sir?
Well, we have finally fixed what the Senate screwed up months ago. They separated ICE and CBP, ICE and Border Patrol, out of the DHS funding. That's a bad idea. It should never have been done. The Senate did it because the Democrats said, we want to defund ICE and we want to defund Border Patrol. It's, again, a horrible idea that we've had to fix through reconciliation. And reconciliation means that when we send it back over to the Senate, they only need 51 votes to get it through. So no Democrat votes necessary. We finally got it done months after we passed the DHS funding bill. Shouldn't have been done this way. We finally got it done to fully fund ICE and CBP.
Isn't it great to have a president that is a law and order president? As soon as he stepped into office, he said there's a national emergency on the southern border, and you, of course, are represented from Texas. What is it like to see that border sealed up with National Guard, military, Customs Border Protection, ICE, and the like?
Look, I was there at the border before and after. The effects are dramatic. Do you remember the tens of thousands of people under that bridge one time? I've been down to that bridge. It was truly a horrific sight. President Trump said it right. We didn't need a new law. We just needed a new president. It's a dramatic change.
It is, and we see it here at RSBN. Also, finally, your thoughts on Freedom 250 in the sense of we're only, 20 days away from celebrating July 4th. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, we need to be celebrating more than the date. We need to be celebrating the idea that is America, the individual rights, the individual freedoms are truly still the bulwark of our constitutional republic. But let's also remember our constitutional republic is based on the God of the Bible. the God who gave us our man-made, our man-given rights from our Creator, not from our government, not from any man, but from our Creator God. So with that foundation, with the ideas that our founding fathers gave us so articulately in both the spiritual Declaration of Independence and the legal U.S. Constitution, we have a lot to celebrate. Yes, we've had rough spots before, but if we get those ideas right, we'll be good for another 250 years.
And that's exactly what we want to see, sir. Thank you again for joining us, Texas Representative Keith Self. Thanks for what you're doing for the country, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
All right, back here live on RSBN Live, that interview within the 24/7 news cycle. Thanks again for joining us here on Right Side. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on replay, whether you're watching on X or Truth Social, maybe a clip of one of the interviews, thanks so much for doing so here on the network. All right, it is Friday, June 12th. It's 1:51 Eastern Time, of course, 10:51 out there on the West Coast. Let's go to a few of our sponsors before we get to Lee Greenwood joining us here on Right Side. Kalshi.com/RSBN, of course, a great sponsor here on Right Side. Whether you're looking to bet or trade or maybe just check out some polls, this is the place to do it. You can download the app, the Kalshi app, or just go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Another way you can get there, the QR code. So if you're looking for maybe science, technology, sports, music, faith, weather, politics, there's a lot of topics that people are talking about on that site. More than 1 million users, that number growing. And of course, one of the major things that people were watching over the past couple of weeks was that mayoral race in Los Angeles, where of course they were counting those ballots, and Spencer Pratt went from second place on the way to a runoff to third place and not even making it to the runoff. But we'll see what happens there when it comes to Spencer, because Steve Hilton, Trump-endorsed candidate for governor in California, of course, advanced. So we'll see if Steve gets into the office there in Sacramento. And he told Fox the other day that he is open, of course, with open arms, to work with someone like Spencer Pratt and his administration from that state government level. So we'll see what happens there in California. But that's a lot of things that people are talking about on Kalshi. Great sponsor here on Right Side. Also, same thing with Cove Pier when it comes to great sponsorships. I mean, you may have seen this or heard this story out there. Apparently, researchers have been documenting male fish developing female characteristics in rivers all across our country. We're told it comes from birth control pills that wastewater treatment plants can't fully filter out, and it's in the same water that runs into your home. So if you're a man out there or you have sons, grandsons, or loved ones in your life, this isn't something you can ignore. That's why it's so important to use Cove Pure to purify your water. So here's how this actually works. When people take medication, their bodies don't absorb all of it. So the rest gets flushed, goes through a wastewater treatment plant. And then those plants were never built to catch pharmaceutical compounds. So things like estrone from birth control pills, antibiotics, antidepressants, they just come right back out of your tap. So your standard pitcher filter from the store is just not going to cut it here. These compounds are too small, too persistent. You need something that can filter things at this molecular level. And that's exactly what Cove Pure is. Their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So that estrone or fluoride, PFAs, lead, arsenic, basically anything that isn't water gets filtered out. And unlike traditional reverse osmosis systems, Cove Pure couldn't be easier to set up. You just put it on your countertop, fill it with water, and plug it in. The best part is it lets you actually select whatever temperature water you want. So that filtered water comes out as, of course, hot, cold, or warm with a tap of a button. So those fish, of course, didn't have a choice about what was in their water. You do. Go to covepure.com/RSBN. Great investment right there. Great price when you see it. covepure.com/RSBN. Take $250 off right now for viewers watching here live as it's 1:54 Eastern Time. Thanks again for joining us on this Friday, June 12th. Looking live there at the U.S. Capitol building. And of course, what we'll be seeing on June 24th will be the America is Back rally. President Trump speaking. We'll have a number of these great musical acts, including country artist Lee Greenwood. Let's go to that interview from about 2 hours ago right now. And joining us now is, of course, a great patriot, a great American patriot, country artist, Lee Greenwood. Thank you again for joining us, Lee.
You're welcome. Great to talk to you.
You too, you too. So, of course, the America is Back rally coming up June 24th. Of course, you'll be singing there, performing there in front of the world. this isn't you're used to doing these kind of things. So your thoughts about that, Freedom 250 on July 4th?
Yeah, the Great American State Fair, and I wondered why it was called the State Fair, and then I realized it's, even though it may be in D.C. or Virginia, it's all 50 states are going to have a representative there, which kicks off America Freedom 250 all the way through past July 4th. And so performing there will be different for me because even though I'm on tour with my band still and we're on the road a lot, this will be with probably the Marine Band, I think the president's own. So it's like, holy cow. The last time I did that was at University of Tennessee. They had 200 players on the field. But yeah, singing live there and then introducing the president, which I think you probably heard that, which is always a privilege for me to do.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen you do that here on RSBN from time to time. And also on June 24th for that America is Back rally. We're looking forward to seeing you and hearing you sing God Bless the USA. Of course, your 1983 legendary hit across this country and probably around the world. They know about it, I'm sure. And so the beginning of the lyrics there, I was listening to the song on the way into the studio here. And of course it says, if tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I'd thank my lucky stars to be living here today because the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. That part there, your thoughts about that? I mean, I feel you, I hear you, I can hear the USA chants, but can they ever take it away if they mess with the Constitution or if they don't pass the Save America Act, that kind of thing? Your thoughts?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, we have a democracy, which nobody can seem to compliment. And we have the Declaration of Independence, which gives us authority to govern ourselves. We also have the strongest military in the world. When I said they can't take that away, no matter who they are, they could be a foreign government, they could be from somebody inside our country trying to take over our democracy. But whoever they are, I meant that we are everlasting, but that nobody can take this away from us.
Exactly, and that's what we're working for, you know, freedom fighters in a way, legally, lawfully, and spiritually. And speaking of legally, wouldn't it be great to see the Save America Act pass with Congress to really secure that freedom that you so beautifully sang?
I have never understood. I've been to the polls since I was very young. I guess I voted first when I was 21. And I have always presented my identification. Here I am. This is either my driver's license. I even had my student card from school or my library card, something like. But you really have to have a citizen identification. In the early days, before voting was more national, they had to own land in order to vote. Maybe we should go back to that. I don't know. But to tell you the truth, you have to have a government ID that identifies you as a citizen of the United States to vote. I think that's what I believe.
Exactly. And then maybe the cut down of all those extra mail-in ballots unless it's needed, right, for military or medical, that kind of thing, all part of the Save America Act. But shifting back to you being near the National Mall there, the great reflecting pool, you know, every time that you do one of these great performances, I don't know. I mean, is it a brand new whole feeling for you, or is it kind of like, well, I've done this before?
Well put. And you're exactly right. I mean, whether it was on the Nimitz aircraft carrier for the Navy during the Persian Gulf conflict, or in Panama, where I was there with the military, or at the White House, and I've sang it all across this globe. Each one has a historic meaning for me. After the attack on America in 2001, of course, the fourth game of the World Series, where I wore the red, white, and blue jacket. It's available on YouTube if people wanted to see that. I sang the national anthem instead at Dover for the first race back. Every one of the events that I've sang to 3 different presidential elections, I've sang for a president as they were inaugurated. So as we move forward in time, I'm sure there'll be others. But this 4th of July, I'm 83. So I don't know that I'll see another one, another inauguration. But if I do, I'd probably be there. I'd proudly be there to sing if they ask me.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. And speaking of 83 years old, 1983, of course, your great God Bless the USA song out. We may be playing that song a little bit later here on Right Side. We've heard it so many times on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We always love to hear it. Also, before the interview, we were talking about your hoodie. It looks awesome. And then also Allied Flag is a great sponsor, right? So can you talk to us about both?
Yeah, absolutely. My friends at Bass Pro, Johnny Morris and I have been friends a long time, and they're a wonderful American company. They actually have products that are available for all walks of American life. So the newly produced, and I just got this in my hand day before yesterday, is in cooperation and partnership with the Allied Flag Company. They're producing this brand new flag available now for, of course, the 4th of July. It's easy out of the box, as you see, and it's nylon, weather resistant, and made in the United States of America, and available now across all Bass Pro shops across the country. And I know that they are going there now as we speak. So if you want to get one of these and get the box, it has my name and likeness on it and my signature, you better get it before 4th of July because they'll be gone after that.
Yeah, exactly. No, that looks like an awesome product to get. A good memorabilia too for America 250, Freedom 250 coming up right there. So Allied Flag. And finally,
Flag.
sir, yeah, and just in 48 hours from now, June 14th is Flag Day, President Trump's birthday, the UFC fight, and all the things. This is a whole different look than under Biden, Obama, and the others. I know you might not want to get into too many political statements here, but it really looks good for me and you.
Well, true. And I'll go back to that for 1 second. AlliedFlag.com. It's where you can find them if you want to order online. Otherwise, go to the Bass Pro Shops and pick up one. So tomorrow, June 13th, is my wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Kim, my beautiful bride, married 34 years. And then, of course, President Trump's birthday on the 14th, Flag Day. Happy birthday, Mr. President. And also the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. And remember, we had an army before we had a republic.
Exactly. It's 1775. The great country artist, great American patriot, Lee Greenwood. Thank you again for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then somebody else that President Trump was saying was going to perform is the presidential tenor, Christopher Macchio, who's been on this broadcast before. We'll go to that interview in just a second. We have a lot to get to from now to the end of the broadcast. So if there's any live breaking news, of course, we'll be here for it. Also, the president's schedule today, the White House schedule, everything is listed as closed to the press. If anything opens up, we'll be here for you. And if it's specifically not me sitting here, sometimes we just take it live regardless of what time it is during the day that something happens. So always good to have that content for you here on the network. Also, let's go over to some of our sponsors before we go to that interview with Christopher. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Of course, summer travel season is here and you've planned the flights or maybe the road trip, book the hotel, pack the bags, but did you forget maybe the medications? Most people don't remember those until they're 3 states away and realize they left something important at home. Or if someone gets sick and there's no doctor in sight, that's why more Americans are turning to our good sponsor, All Family Pharmacy, before they travel. If you already have a prescription for essential medications, they can fill it. If not, all you have to do is complete a short medical form online and they connect you with a licensed doctor who will review your request and prescribe if appropriate. From there, they have more than 400 medications. You're talking antibiotics, ivermectin, allergy meds, emergency inhalers, maintenance medications, everything shipped straight to your door. And don't wait until something goes wrong. You can prepare now, of course, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code, get the 10% off. Great sponsor there, American Independent Pharmacy. As we go to Birch Gold Group, as you see there, the July 4th special. Now, you can buy some gold and get some silver in your pocket as well, but some people are thinking, well, how am I going to afford purchasing gold right now when, prices are the way they are? Well, one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is diversifying your retirement savings. So Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold. Something, of course, that's a hedge against inflation. And check this out. Right now, Birch Gold is going to give you a special America 250 1-ounce silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by July 19th. 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. And the question is, where will it be 10 years from now? Just text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th. Again, text Trump to that number 989898 today. All right. You see in the Capitol there, of course, and I'm going to double check those stats on the dates for the Birch Gold because I saw a July 19th and a July 10th in that script. So I'm going to have to double check that. We'll get back to you on those specifics here in just a second. In the meantime, Christopher Macchio, you might have seen him sing a few times prior to some huge events that involved President Trump. Well, he'll be speaking, actually singing, on June 24th at the America is Back rally. Let's take a quick look at that interview right now. And joining us now is presidential tenor Christopher Macchio, of course. Thanks so much for joining us once again, Christopher.
No, it's an absolute pleasure to be with you.
It's always great to have you on the broadcast. It's a little bit of inside baseball because, of course, you have a friendship with the commander-in-chief, the most famous person on earth. And then on top of that, he says on Truth Social the other day, all these things about who will be performing on June 24th, yourself and Lee Greenwood. Your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, it's a privilege to be mentioned in the same sentence as a legend like Lee Greenwood. And I think it's just a wonderful opportunity to come together and perform some patriotic classics that remind all of us of how fortunate we are that we were born in this country, and we have now the opportunity to celebrate the 250th anniversary of this nation's founding. So it's going to be just a tremendously positive, upbeat, patriotic event. And I can tell you, again, from the inside, that nobody has a better sense of how to put on a spectacular show than our Commander-in-Chief, President Donald J. Trump. And so he gave Lee and I the call, and we're more than happy to answer that call. So it's going to be great.
You know, it's interesting. Every time you perform, I think that the last performance is the biggest for you. And can there be anything bigger, right? I mean, performing when President Trump returned to Butler, Pennsylvania, there's Christopher Macchio. Then you have all these heads of state in the White House East Room. There you are performing for people from all around the world and a number of other really well-known people. And then now, our 250th birthday party, you're on stage. And what is it like to be able to use your gift? You know, to work and to use your gift, and it all comes naturally to you, must feel really good.
Well, in terms of just having been blessed with a voice, it's a privilege that you really have to be the steward of, a responsible steward, and cultivate it in a way that you can share it with as many people as possible in a way that really resonates with and moves as many people as possible in the right ways. And I really endeavor to imbue my performances with a sense of patriotism and pageantry, and I try to rise to the occasion. And so you're excited, but you're also really, there's a little bit of nerves insofar as you want to do justice to our president, to our nation, and really rise to that occasion. And so, sometimes your body, I know that I have the technique and the knowledge to sing, but your body also has a say, and the adrenaline has a say, and so it's always a little bit of a tightrope that you have to walk, because you want to really show the world what you can do, and there's and like I said, it's just such a blessing to have that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, your career already solid, and then enhanced by some serious fame now. So I'm sure that even more shows.
I'm getting there.
Well, I'm saying,
yeah. And
I'm
the
just
thing
saying,
is, these different opportunities I've had, like you said, there was the rallies, the RNCs, then there was the return to Butler, which was a tremendously solemn occasion for the nation. We played during that performance in Butler the bells of Notre Dame. A recording of the bells of Notre Dame that was synchronized with the moments that the bullets rang out. And today, just today, I had the privilege of hearing those very same bells live and in person, the Notre Dame bells of Paris. And so, like you said, each time it's just another step in the right direction. I performed for the state dinner, of course, the inauguration, of course. President Trump entrusted that solemn honor with me on January 20th of last year. And then we had the wonderful state dinner, like you said. And just this past Sunday, I sang for a mass commemorating the start of the FIFA World Cup with Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA. And now I'll be coming back into town and taking the stage not only with Lee Greenwood, but with, of course, our men and service women in uniform. I'll be having the United States Marines with me, and it's just going to be, a tremendous show of pageantry and patriotism. And it's all because of our president, Donald J. Trump.
And then on top of that, Washington, D.C. is looking a whole lot better, not only from the visual perspective,
God, yeah.
but the crime is down. Thank God for the National Guard, right, Christopher?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sometimes you really just need to call in, people like the National Guard to lay down the law a little bit and to keep the peace. I was just in Washington 2 weeks ago for an Italian-American celebration, and they were just all so very happy that President Trump and his secretary, Bogram, were able to clean up the Columbus statue, for example. I mean, this thing was covered in statues and all kinds of graffiti, spray paint, protest slogans, and they cleaned it. It is pristine, beautiful white marble. The water is now flowing again, just like it is in many parks across Washington, D.C. And it's so beautiful to see that. And of course, this celebration on the 24th is going to be on the scene of the National Mall, and we have the water flowing there again. We have no green swamp slum. He literally drained the swamp on the National Mall, and now we have beautiful crystal clear water for our public to enjoy as part of this celebration. And for me to represent the musical component of that, as you know, I'm a co-founder of Make Music Right, charity that is trying to promote a more elevated sensibility in our culture. And so it is my privilege not only to represent our country and our president, but the charity that I believe in so strongly, as we try to nurture the right values that are coming back, values that our president, that this administration are championing from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, as we celebrate the 250th birthday of our great nation.
We are looking forward to your epic performance and celebrating our epic country on June 24th. Presidential tenor Christopher Macchio, thanks again for joining us from Paris.
Thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you soon.
All right, take care, man. All right, live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, it's 2:15 or 2:14 Eastern Time. Thanks so much for joining us here on the network. Let's go to a few of our sponsors as we go to some live interviews coming up. We're going to go to OHIO in just a second with Ohio Representative Gary Click. In the meantime, Kalshi.com/RSBN, great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You can go to the QR code, download the app, or go to that website. A lot of different ways to bet, trade, and just check out polls. But Kalshi is one of those that is growing by huge numbers right now when it comes to the amount of people on Kalshi and checking it out. So Kalshi.com/RSBN. Of course, a lot of political trending topics as well. Name a race pretty much when it comes to primary elections or the November elections or even the presidential election in 2028. It's on there. And outside of politics, there's a number of other topics as well that people are talking about. So go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Also, Covepier.com/RSBN as well. Apparently, researchers have been documenting male fish developing female characteristics in rivers all across our country. How in the world is that happening? Well, we're told it comes from birth control pills that wastewater treatment plants can't fully filter out, and it's in the same water that runs into your home. So if you're a man watching right now, or if you have sons, grandsons, or loved ones in your life, this isn't something you can ignore. That's why it's so important to use Cove Pure to purify your water. So here's how this actually works. When people take medication, their bodies, of course, it doesn't absorb all of it. Then the rest gets flushed, goes through a wastewater treatment, and then those plants were never built to catch pharmaceutical compounds. So things like estrone from birth control pills or antibiotics, antidepressants, they come right back out of your tap. Your standard pitcher filter from the store isn't going to cut it here. These compounds are too small, too persistent, and you need something that can filter things at a molecular level, of course, and that's exactly what Cove Pure is. Their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. You're talking estrone or fluoride, PFAs, lead, arsenic, basically anything that isn't water gets filtered out. Unlike traditional reverse osmosis systems, Cove Pure couldn't be easier to set up. You just put it on your counter, you fill it up with water and plug it in, and the best part is it lets you select whatever temperature you want. Hot water for tea or coffee, cold water for the gym, warm water for baby bottles. One tap of the button there and you get that instantly. So those fish, of course, didn't have a choice about what was in their water. You do. Go to covepure.com/RSBN. And right now you can get that $250 off. That's covepure.com/RSBN. Before we go to Ohio, just a quick shout out to the Sunshine State and Florida. Of course, Ron DeSantis, the governor there, and a number of great people running for various offices there. We've had John Strand, of course, on the line. We see that Ben Butler is running for office as a congressman. So all the best to everybody that is running, whether it's in Florida, Ohio, or anywhere across the union. Let's go to Ohio. Representative Gary Click joining us right now. Thanks again for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Great to see you again, OH.
I.O. in the house, man. I used to work in Columbus, Ohio. That's the big Ohio Buckeyes chant, of course. Now, the question is, will voter ID be on the November ballot in the Buckeye State? Like, what's the latest going on there with that?
Yeah, we had some marathon sessions this week, and we passed it out of the House to put it on the put the referendum on the ballot, and so it is going to be on the ballot in November. And I'm looking forward to that. That's what the voters want. The voters believe in integrity. They want to know that the person who's casting that ballot is who they say they are, not someone else. They want to eliminate fraud. Ohio is a great place. We've had some wonderful secretaries of state. Easy to vote, hard to cheat, and we're just doubling down on that now.
And that's always good to hear. And then I posted something about this on Truth Social the other day, and then some reply comments where we're like, well, what about mail-in ballots? And what about proof of citizenship? And I said, listen, doing anything in the direction of just getting it started, give us something, right? I mean, well, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is really a two-pronged approach that we're doing here. We're putting that in the ballot. We're on the ballot. We're keeping it simple. You complicate the ballot, and if it's complicated, hard to understand, people vote no. However, we still have the ability to add it to the mail-in ballots legislatively, and we have also at the same time, the same session. In fact, before we passed the part for the referendum, SJR 10, we passed HB 472, which also says that for mail-in ballots, you have to have a photo ID. So it's a two-pronged approach, but we're covering the mail-in ballots as well.
Always good to see that. Anything that goes toward election security or election integrity, awesome to see it. What else is going on there in Ohio? What are you seeing there? What are you working on? What are the constituents saying to you, sir?
Well, very good. That's a good question. And one of the things we're really working on right now is data centers as well. That's a big news item here in Ohio. I have a Bill 646, which was created to establish a data center study commission that passed the Ohio House unanimously back in March. Went to the Senate, and the Senate said, let's do this to be more efficient. Let's create a select committee on data centers. That's a tongue twister. Data center study committee, and combined with some of the leaders in both the House and the Senate, and so we put that together. Have had a number of hearings, and we're just trying to come to some consensus on the best way to move forward. And, I'm not necessarily a critic of the data centers, but neither a proponent. We just want to make sure it's done right. A lot of people in our communities have a lot of concerns about them, the use of agricultural land, how does it affect the water, tax abatements, things like that, energy, bring your own energy, things like that. So we're trying to put some common sense policies in place. We didn't quite get there to get across the finish line yet, but we are continuing to work on that. And that's one of the biggest issues in Ohio right now.
Exactly. A lot of rural area in Ohio outside of Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, of course, and you have Akron and these other towns. But yeah, it's a big, big state there. Let's talk about some other states. So let's talk about to the north of you, kind of Chicago, Illinois. We look at, Mayor Brandon Johnson there. You look at J.B. Pritzker. You look at these leftists that just don't have the people's interests at heart. What is it like to, work in state government there in Ohio, but you look out and you see these other things happening across the country?
Well, Ohio is the heart of it all, and a lot of good stuff starts here. And we're looking forward. We've got Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be our next governor, along with now Senate President Rob McCauley is going to be our lieutenant governor. And I think that's going to add a lot of steam to the things that we're doing. And Ohio is no longer a purple state. We're a red state. And that means we're going to get things done. We're going to do a whole lot better than Pritzker, who just lost, who did he lose, the Bears to Indiana? Really? Wow, that's incredible. I just saw that today. So we're doing things right. We've got a strong legislature. We've got just some good people who are serving our community, and we're fighting for what's right. You just go back to even putting this referendum on the ballot for voter ID. It's so incredible how many Democrats want something on the ballot when they think it favors them. They got to let the people speak. Let the people speak until you want them to speak on this, and they're not going to say what the Democrats want. Then they're like, no, don't do this. We can't let the people speak. We got to silence the people because they're going to do what we don't want them to do. Well, we're here to stand up for the people in the great state of Ohio. We're going to give them their voice, and we can tell you right now how they're going to vote. They're going to vote for voter ID in the state of Ohio. Photo ID.
It'll be great to see it. And this is why I wanted to bring you on, sir, because I saw this headline the other day about Ohio and voter ID. And previously I was saying if the Save America Act doesn't pass from the federal government, specifically Congress, then these local and state governments should pass as much of the part of it or all of it as much as they can within those governments. Do you agree?
Right. The states are the laboratories of democracy. We don't have to wait on the federal government to do these things. We can go ahead and get it started. We create the movement, and then Congress can pick up on that and say, hey, well, look what these guys have done. Let's go ahead and make it, federal. I've done the same thing with the SAFE Act, preventing childhood mutilation here for gender reassignment purposes. And you might have seen, just did an interview earlier, Cleveland Clinic was just found out for miscoding, and they were coding things differently than what they should have been to have this covered and to continue to provide these procedures for minors that are unsafe. And I told them, I said, listen, our children are not your science experiments. And so now they have committed to not doing that for the next 20 years, which I'm not sure why they put a 20-year cap on that. Like, how about we just say never, ever?
Right.
But they're also going to spend some money on making sure to help these young people who realize what mistake they made and to do some restorative procedures. I've talked to Chloe many times, a friend of mine, and that's one of the problems that she and Prisha and others face is when they realize that they made a mistake, when they realize that they were conned and they try to go back as far as they can to what they were, the hospitals don't want to help them. And at first they tell us they're not doing it, and then, okay, well, we are doing it, and now we're going to stop doing it. But we don't want to help. Okay, now we're going to help these kids. And they donate, they committed finances to making sure to help these children. And so we're moving in the right direction. Things are going in the right direction, but we got to keep up the fight. The fight never ends. And so we don't quit.
That's the truth right there. We are freedom fighters, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, freedom fighting legally, lawfully, and spiritually across this country. Two more items quickly to get you on, one in New York and one in Ireland of all places. But if you go several hundred miles to your east, of course, New York City, speaking about the same topic you're talking about, did you know that Mamdani the other day announced $15 million for New Yorkers for the whole community to allow more gender affirming care? They're using the tax dollars to push even terrible things. Just your quick reaction on that.
Well, they're trying to play God, and they're not. There's a problem with that is the role's already filled, and they're going to do more harm. We know from the science.
Yeah.
We know from the science that this promotes suicidal ideology in kids because they get a false promise like, oh, I can be something that I'm not. And really, it's a mental health issue that these kids are facing. We should love these kids enough to tell them the truth, and this is not going to solve your problems, because what kids do after they buy this lie, they realize, oh, I thought I could turn into a girl, but I can't, or I thought I could be a boy and I'm not. And then that depression just doubles down inside of them, and they feel used, they feel worn out, they feel cheated, they feel lied to. And that's why that suicide rate raises by 19 times. And the other thing here in Cuyahoga County, which is Cleveland, I've got a bill HB 693, the Affirming Families First Act. They were actually, even after we passed the SAFE Act, any child that was coming into contact with them in their children's services, they start interviewing that. They have a whole script, and they're required to ask every child. And as you well know, every accusation is investigated. So every child that comes in contact, they're saying, well, do you feel like a boy? Do you feel like a girl? Do you like boys or do you like girls? And then they're writing it, keeping track of it in a database. And they had a young boy on there as young as 5 years old, listed as gay and being affirmed by his parents. And by the way, if you're not an affirming parent, then they say you're dangerous, you're a harm to your child. And so we wrote this to say, no, it is not a danger to affirm your child's sex. And we reclaimed the language, because they always talk about affirming, and it sounds so lovely, sounds so flowery, sounds so nice, but they're affirming a lie. There's no such thing as a gender identity that is separate from who you are, separate from your sex. And they call it conversion therapy if you don't tell a boy he's a girl. And I think what they're doing is conversion therapy. They asked me, they said, so what do you think about conversion therapy? I said, I don't believe you ought to be converting little boys into little girls. It doesn't work. And so but they're trying to still push on that button. And we're saying, no, calling a boy is not harmful. Calling a girl is not harmful. Telling Johnny he's a boy, Susie she's a girl, that is not harmful. And you're not going to go in and tell the parents that they have to do this under the threat of losing custody of their children, under threat of being bullied and told that, no, you have to change your religion if your religion says something different from that. I'm not putting up with it. The great state of Ohio is not putting up with it. We are going to push back. We've noticed the evil never quits. Sin never stops. They're always going to push their wicked liberal agenda on us, but we're always here to fight back and to push back, and we're going to save our children.
Perfectly said. Ohio Representative Gary Click joining us right now. And like I mentioned earlier, talking about Ireland as well, outside of New York, where it got this whole conversation really going, was the mass migration that they're seeing in Europe right now. That's a big story overseas right now, specifically Ireland, because of a terrible incident that I'm not going to rehash that happened recently. But the Irish people are saying enough is enough. We're not doing that here in our country. Your thoughts about right now in Ohio? Are you seeing illegal immigrants a lot in your? Is it a big problem in your state right now with ICE, or what's going on there?
I don't know if it's illegal as much as it is the legal. I mean, we do have the illegals. There's no doubt about it. I actually have a bill about that it's HB 200, the America First Act. And it simply says if it's illegal for you to be in America, it's illegal for you to be in the United States. And the penalty is a $500 fine, 1 year in jail. And when you get out of jail, within the first 48 hours, you need to skedaddle out of Ohio. And the message is, if you're going to be in the United States illegally, Ohio is not the place to do it. But we've also, I introduced that first during the Biden administration. We've revised it since then and updated the language. But it also says that, during that time, we can turn them over to ICE to be deported and removed. They don't have to stay here a year. Let's get them out of the country. Listen, I don't despise immigrants. My niece married a guy from Canada. Great. He had to come in the legal way. And I know many people who've come here and they've come here the legal way. That's great. We welcome that. But part of the legal way, and it's a biblical thing, is assimilation. If you're going to come into this country, that's because you think there's something better in this country than the country you're leaving. And so if you want what's better in this country, then become an American and learn what America is about. What made America great to begin with. Don't just come for our resources, but come for our soul, come for our heart, come for who we are, and make that a part of who you are. But if you're leaving a third world country that you hate and that is disgusting to you, not to us, I'm saying to you, and you want to leave that because you have no opportunity, when you come to the land of opportunity, participate in that opportunity and find out what gives you that opportunity and participate in that and preserve that heritage for the next generation.
And it's exactly right. It's the U.S. Constitution, the law of the land here is the law, of course, and there are some that are trying to push some other laws that are unfortunately happening in Europe, aka Sharia law. So it's not against, and as Senator Tommy Tuberville said just earlier this week, he was saying, if you're a practicing Muslim and you're in this country and you're going along with the Constitution and all the things and you're not pushing Sharia law, fine. But if you're trying to push something that is anti, not only anti the Constitution, but anti-morality, if you don't submit to something, you die, death to America, that kind of thing.
Well, Sharia is not a religion; it's a law, and that's what people need to understand. I am actually the vice chair for Ohio for the National Association of Christian Lawmakers, NACL. And I just came from a conference there at Liberty University, and they were talking about some legislation across the nation. I think Texas has already passed it, that no Sharia law. And that is not religious persecution. Listen, our law is, we don't have quote unquote Christian law either. We don't put in the Constitution that you should have this religion or that religion, or you have to, I mean, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ changed my life. He saved my soul. He forgave my sins. But I am not going to try to force other people to do that. And even when I ran the SAFE Act, I had people from all walks of life that came and supported that. One of the ladies that actually became a good friend of mine is an atheist, and she doesn't believe, and I keep working on her. And she asked me to marry her, and I not me personally. Let me get that straight.
That's the way I just took it.
I've got a good wife, and I love my wife. I'm turning red here on TV, but she asked me to perform her wedding ceremony, and I said I can do that, but if I do that, I'm going to talk to you about Jesus Christ. I'm going to mention Jesus. And she said, "That's great." But I don't try to make her or anyone else follow my religion. We're not going to, we don't have religious laws in the United States. We have the freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, but the freedom of religion. And we're not going to impose anyone's law except American law, constitutional law on anyone, anywhere.
If you're just joining us, this is an Ohio state representative. He's in state government, Gary Click. I'm gonna have to follow you on X, sir, because what you're saying is so right on the money. But here's my question to you. Have you ever run for federal government? Have you ever tried to throw your hat in the ring in Congress?
Oh, great question. Well, I had considered, I really haven't looked at it seriously, but I did consider it, because for a time I was in the 9th Congressional District. We're just actually moved in the last redistricting, but I used to have Jim Jordan, and we did some redistricting that I voted against because people said, "Why did you vote against the redistricting?" And I said, "I can't go home and tell people I traded Jim Jordan for Marcy Kaptur. I'd get voted out immediately." But we did end up with Marcy, and I had considered that, but I had some other good colleagues that were running for that. And right now, Derek Marin is the Republican candidate for that seat, and he's going to do a fine job. I look forward to him beating Marcy and winning. But I'm actually have been moved into Bob Latta's seat now, and I don't believe in running against my good conservative colleagues when they're doing a good job, so I'm not going to challenge them. And I honestly, I just put myself in the Lord's hands, and if the Lord wants me to run for something, I run for it when that opportunity arises. But I didn't even go looking for this. The Lord opened these doors, and the people in the district asked me to run. And matter of fact, when I was contemplating it, people said, "Are you going to run? Are you going to run?" I said, "Well, I'm still praying about it." And they said, "Quit praying about it and just do something." And so I did, but I still felt like it was the Lord's calling to do it, and the Lord is blessed. And I feel like I've been able to make a positive impact on the state of Ohio and a little bit beyond that. Just, the Department of Health here, the National Department of Health used some of the language from 693 when they made their executive orders regarding gender transition and sex rejecting procedures. They borrowed actually some of the language from my legislation. So I feel like I've been able to have a big impact in doing what I'm doing. And listen, it's not about me. It's only about serving the people, serving God. And as long as I can do that, I'll be here. When the Lord says the time is up for that, I'll do something else. But I'm always going to be giving back to my community. And I feel like I'm always going to do my best to serve the Lord wherever he calls me.
Awesome. Nothing to say other than amen. And this has been a great interview. I've had a pleasure talking to you. If you'd like to follow me on X, it's at Matthew Alvarez, or actually Matthew US Media, and I'll follow you right back. Even if you don't follow me, I'm still following you.
Click for Ohio.
Okay. Thank you so much. Gary Click, the Ohio representative. Thanks again for what you're doing for this country.
All right. God bless you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, man. That was awesome. I love people like that. Man, it's so cool. It's this job, I'll tell you what, guys. Wow. Anyway, let's go to All Family Pharmacy. Summer travel season is here. You've planned the flights maybe, or the road trip, booked the hotel, packed the bags, but did you think about your medications? Most people don't until they're 3 states away and realize they left something important at home, or someone gets sick and there's no doctor in sight. That's why more Americans are turning to our good sponsor, All Family Pharmacy, before they travel. If you already have a prescription for essential medications, they can fill it. If not, complete a short medical form online, and they connect you with a licensed doctor who will review your request and prescribe if appropriate. They have more than 400 medications: antibiotics, ivermectin, allergy medications, emergency inhalers, maintenance meds. Everything shipped straight to your door. Don't wait until something goes wrong. Prepare now. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use code RSBN10 to save 10% on your order. A great American independent pharmacy right there, All Family Pharmacy. Also, Birch Gold Group, you can buy some gold, put some silver in your pocket at the same time, but the problem is some of you are saying, well, I don't have the extra dough to buy some gold. Well, one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is diversifying your retirement savings. So Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into physical IRA and gold. Something that, of course, is a hedge against inflation. And check this out. Right now, Birch Gold is going to give you that special America 250 round that you see right there for every $10,000 you purchase by July 10th. 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. The question is, where will it be 10 years from now? So just text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America's 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th. Again, text Trump to the number 989898 today. So we have one more live interview. I think we actually have, we have 2 more live interviews coming up before we wrap this up. And this next one I'm pumped about as well. Before we get to it, though, there's a video we'd like to play about our next guest. So Rodney Smith Jr. is a great patriot based in Alabama. He's the founder of Raising Men and Women Lawn Care Service, a 501c3 that provides free lawn care to the elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. The country artist John Rich was saying on X recently, this guy's got to get in front of the White House. This guy's doing some great work, has almost 200,000 followers on X as well, but that's besides the point. Let's go to that video from clip number 5, just a little bit more about Rodney, and then he'll join us right after that video.
Hey there, I'm Rodney Smith Jr., the founder of Raising Men and Women's Lawn Care Service. I'm so excited to have you aboard for our 50-yard challenge. Now, before you get started, there are some important stuff you have to know about safety when it comes to this challenge. It's meant to be fun and also to help people. But first and foremost, like I said, safety comes first. I've got some friends here to help me, and we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts when it comes to the 50-yard challenge. So let's get started. Let's go. Safety tip number 1, wear the appropriate gear.
Hey, what are you wearing?
What's wrong with this?
This is not what you wear to cut the grass. Here's what you need: safety glasses, earplugs, closed-toe shoes.
Okay, I get it. You gotta wear the appropriate safety gear when it comes to mowing the lawns. Safety tip number 2, clear the area.
Hey, wait! You gotta pick up the yard before you mow.
I could just mow around this stuff.
That's not a good idea. If you hit one of the objects, it could hurt someone.
Okay. Good point. You gotta clear the yard before you mow it. Safety tip number 3, wait until the grass is dry.
Hey, what are you doing? It's about to rain.
I know. I'm just trying to get the grass cut before the rain comes.
I don't think that's a good idea. You don't want to get struck by lightning, and when it rains, it will be too wet to mow.
Okay. That's a great point. You have to always mow in dry conditions and always make sure the weather is safe. Safety tip number 4, keep hands and feet away from the blade.
Hey, stop! You're gonna hurt yourself.
I'm just trying to get these sticks out.
You gotta wait till the engine has stopped before you reach towards the blade.
Okay. Good point. It's important that you keep your hands and feet away from the blade, especially when it's running. Safety tip number 5, look out for your surroundings.
Hey, watch out.
I'm sorry, man, I didn't see you there.
Yeah, because you wasn't looking where you were going.
Okay, that's a great point. You gotta look around so you don't run into anyone, and never mow in reverse unless necessary. Safety tip number 6. Let the mower cool down before refueling, cleaning, and storing.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm just cleaning the mower.
But it's too hot. You'll burn yourself.
Okay, that's a good point. You must always let the mower cool down before refueling, cleaning, or storing the mower away. Safety tip number 7. Use caution when mowing hills and slopes.
Hey, where you going?
I'm just gonna mow up this hill.
You gotta be careful when mowing up a slope or a hill, because if you slip, you could be seriously injured.
Okay. That's a good point. When it comes to mowing hills and slopes, it's better to mow across than going up and down. Safety tip number 8. Keep grass clippings away from the road.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm just cleaning up the yard and blowing the grass out the driveway.
You shouldn't blow grass clippers on the roads. It's dangerous for drivers.
Okay. Good point. When it comes to blowing, you gotta keep the grass clippings off the road. Safety tip number 9. Have a parent or adult with you at all times. Where's your parents?
They're at home.
Don't forget, you need a parent or guardian with you at all times.
Okay. Good point. You have to have adult supervision while doing the 50-yard challenge.
So there you have it, the top safety tips for the 50-yard challenge. Be sure to check our website for more safety tips. I can't wait to come visit you once you complete the 50-yard challenge. Good luck, be safe, and most importantly, have fun. May the lawns be in your favor.
All right, and Rodney Smith Jr. joins us now from Alabama. Thanks so much for stopping by, Rodney.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Let's talk about the video we just saw and the fact that I'm looking here on X, 188,000 followers. You're helping out a lot of people out there. So your lawn service, what does it provide again?
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit organization and we mow free lawns for the elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. And it's not just lawn mowing. In the fall and winter, we also include raking leaves and snow shoveling. And we have kids all across the country that are taking part.
It's pretty wild. Is it a 50-yard challenge? What is the 50 thing?
Yeah, so it's called the 50-yard challenge. And if kids across the country accept this 50-yard challenge, they make a sign saying, I accept the 50-yard challenge. In return, then we send them a white Raising Men or Raising Women t-shirt along with safety glasses and ear protection. And it's set up like the karate system. So every 10 lawns they mow, they get a different color t-shirt. Once they mow 10, they get an orange, 20 earns a green, 30 a blue, 40 a red, and 50 lawns earns a black. And then once they mow 50 free lawns in their community, I get in my van, I drive to wherever they are, and I present them a mower, weed eater, and blower for completing this 50-yard challenge.
That's awesome. You know, I saw your story because of country artist John Rich quoting one of your posts on X talking about what you're doing and how you should get in front of the White House with this. Maybe this would be something, who knows, one of these days, maybe helping with a number of people mowing the south lawn of the White House. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. I mean, but it's something that's obviously a positive story. Have you received any media, people wanting you to come on and interview at all, or?
Not from this. Right now we're trying to get to the White House with the 250th celebration coming up, and I've gotten some word from the White House. So hoping, crossing my fingers, it works out. And yeah, my big goal is to get to the president and have him sign the lawnmower, then eventually auction off my American flag lawnmower and give 100% of the funds to an organization that supports veterans.
So can you tell us your story, where you're from, how old you are, all the details that people are wondering?
Yeah, so my name is Rodney Smith Jr. I'm originally from the island of Bermuda. I came to the United States when I was about 16 years old. I went to a boarding school upstate New York for kids with learning disabilities, and I had the best 2 years of my life. After graduating from that boarding school, I went to Fort Lauderdale, Florida to attend ITT Tech, and I was there at ITT Tech for 6 months. And during those 6 months, I had a hard time adjusting. And I just remember one night praying to God, asking him to use me as a vessel. After praying to God, I just had a sense of relief. Fast forward, in Huntsville, Alabama, now in my senior year of college, getting my bachelor's in computer science. And I'm leaving school one day and I came across this elderly man outside mowing his lawn, and it looked like he was struggling. So I done what anyone would do. I pulled over and helped him out. Little did I know that one small act of kindness would eventually change my life forever. And a few years before that, I remember asking God to use me as a vessel. So I felt it was that moment there he was setting me up for. And ever since that moment, I've been mowing free lawns. It eventually turned into this nonprofit organization. And today we have over 6,000 kids spread out through the country that are mowing free lawns for the elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. And we also have kids in 8 other different countries that are also taking part in this 50-yard challenge. So one small act of kindness eventually changed my life forever.
That's pretty awesome stuff. And then you're saying that the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, that you're on their radar right now. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, yeah. I have a contact person that reached out from the White House, so I'm crossing my fingers. It's gonna happen.
And then also on top of that, again, John Rich, the country artist, referring to you on X as well. What's that like to start seeing a little bit of this momentum, but again, of something that is a positive, good story?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see so many people who back this initiative, and it supports a good cause, which is supporting our veterans. You know, I believe that if someone has served this country, the least we can do is serve them. And my way of serving those who have served this country is by encouraging the next generation to mow the lawn for free. My uncle served in the United States military, so, you know, I'm forever grateful for him and his service and sacrifice. And also, my birthday is July 4th as well, so I feel like, you know, it will be a special moment.
That's awesome. What a great birthday that is. Tell us, when you came to the States, what year was that? What was the process to become a United States citizen? How easy was that for you?
Yeah, so I'm not a United States citizen just yet. I'm still on a visa, but I came when I was 16 years old, and I've been here since. I'm on a O1 visa for people that I'm doing my organization.
Awesome. Well, good stuff. We hope that you become a citizen to this country, because at the end of the day, people that are doing good things for others, including our veterans out there. Awesome to see that. The elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. So where can people, do you have a website, or is it specifically Rodney Smith Jr. On X that people can follow what you're doing?
Yeah, so we have a website at weareraisingmen.com, and on our website, they can find all about the organization. If they need help, they can fill out a form on the organization. If we have a kid in their area, they can, you know, request service from one of our kids in the program.
Awesome. Rodney Smith Jr. out of Alabama. Thanks again for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good stuff there. 2:47, Friday, June 12th. Let's go to a commercial break here on Right Side. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Those of you that have been with us since 1 o'clock, you're loyal. Thank you so much for watching. We've had a lot of live interviews, a lot of recorded interviews as well. Of course, Lee Greenwood joined us, and the Texas Representative Keith Self joined us as well to talk about FISA. We're looking live, of course, at the U.S. Capitol building right now. And let's just end the program with one more interview. We're going to go from Alabama, where we are right now, to Oklahoma, to Jake Merrick. He's running for governor there in Oklahoma. Thank you so much for joining us here, Jake.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Definitely. So let's talk about the deal with you, because I'm hearing that, the local press doesn't want to interview you because you might not have enough money or something? What's going on?
Yeah, it's been the single factor that set me apart from the other candidates in this race. At the outset, I drew a line and made a commitment not to take any lobbyist, PAC, or special interest money. It's a growing trend here in Oklahoma. And as a gubernatorial candidate, I believe we're making history. So I've not received any donations except from individuals across the state. And at a meager $70,000 to $80,000 raised, we're right there in the running with the others who've spent millions. And so for whatever reason, News 9 here in Oklahoma, News 6, they decided to look at the top candidates, which they defined as those who'd raised a certain amount of money. But we decided to have our own candidate forum where I answered all of the same questions that were asked of the other candidates. And I'm telling you, Oklahoma grassroots is on fire right now. And I believe we're primed and set to make history.
That's awesome to see that. This is what we love here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, because you're speaking to me, of course, that works at a network that is grassroots since 2015, right? So 2026 and beyond happening right now. Your thoughts right now about that? We the people, it's really about we the people, isn't it?
100%. You know, it's something that I witnessed when I was elected into the Senate here in Oklahoma. I served in the Oklahoma State Senate, and I saw how upside down the structure was, that it's dictated from the top down. And so if you're at odds with the man at top, whether it's the pro tem of the Senate or the Speaker of the House, they can shut you down. They can blackball you, and none of the bills with your name on it will get through. And so I saw immediately how that is anti-republic. That is the opposite of the way our country was established. And we have to return to a bottom-up movement where the people's voice matters once again.
Is that, I was just going to ask you the question, why are you running for governor? Is it just simply that the people get a representative that represents them? Who would have thought that's something that's hard to get sometimes?
It is. It's bizarre that this is so novel and unique. This should be the way all of the races are run. But it is reigniting a passion in Oklahoma like I've never seen before. People are contacting me daily saying, I've decided I would never vote again, but I'm voting for you. So people have been checked out. That's why our voter turnout has been so low across the nation, and even right here in Oklahoma. People have decided their voice doesn't matter, their vote doesn't matter. But as soon as we turn the attention back to them, suddenly that spark is reignited. I refer to Samuel Adams in a quote that's attributed to him all the time. Of course, he's one of the great agitators of the American Revolution. And he said, "It does not take a majority to prevail. It takes an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men." And we are setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men all across the state of Oklahoma. And I'm telling you, it's turning into a roaring blaze. And the people have decided they're not going to be ignored.
Exactly. From Samuel Adams to President George Washington, he said, quote, "Liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth." And that's what we're trying to see happen here. I know you and I and anybody out there are tired of any of the same old political game. That's why we saw with President Trump back in the day, we saw, hey, this guy's an outsider running for office. I remember he was doing one of the debates and he said the same thing that you're kind of talking about. When they were cheering for Jeb Bush and booing Trump, he said, hey, those are all of his donors and special interests in the crowd, if you remember. And so you're taking a page out of that book there and running for governor. So tell us, I mean, this is the midterm coming up, this race, right?
So it's the primary, the Republican primary here in Oklahoma, in 4 days. And we're right there. The recent poll had me at third, which in itself is incredible when there's millions of dollars that separate me from the other candidates. I should not even be a contender, but I'm right there in the middle of it. And we honestly believe we're much higher than third because the grassroots, like I said, they've been so disconnected from the process. They don't respond to polling anymore. Even polling, they distrust. There's a great distrust. And so we believe that the actual turnout is going to be much higher. We're going to shock the pollsters on June 16th.
All right, so let's talk about one more thing. Political ads, of course, we get inundated depending on when the primary is in whatever state you guys are watching from out there. So obviously the funds for those kind of things doesn't sound like it's there, but how have you relied on social media, kind of like Spencer Pratt, where a bunch of people were making these AI videos and all of that? Is that part of your strategy to win?
It 100% is. We've depended completely on the people to make this their campaign. And so from the beginning, we had people calling us saying, can we make signs? Can we make our own T-shirts? Can we make our own car magnets? So people have just owned this. They realize the potential of what this means if I win and I am refusing all of the big money. And so this is what's inspiring people. They're campaigning on their own. This is completely separate from my campaign. So I have a friend of mine who just handed me his cap, one that he made. All right. So there you go. A prime example. So I'm sitting here in his home. He offered his home for me to come and do this. I'm on the road and this is a great example. We have friends all across the state who say, come in, my house is your house. And, we also did something else historic, Matthew. I physically ran Route 66 across the state of Oklahoma, 386 miles over 66 days from the northwest corner to the western border with Texas. I connected with people stopped me along the way. And this was part of our grassroots campaign.
That's awesome to see it. I'm sure the people watching right now, whether live or on replay, love these kind of stories, love these kind of people like yourself. Jake Merrick, of course, running for governor in Oklahoma. We know that all of the counties, vote red usually in presidential elections. We've seen that along with West Virginia. But outside of that, the question I was asking before, I want to drill down a little bit more. I was saying, why are you running for governor? But what was it for you that might have been frustrating that made you do what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, the dilemma that states like Oklahoma are facing is we have a reputation of being red, a reputation of being conservative, but because we have a supermajority in our capital, people have learned the game, that it's going to be easier for them to get elected if they have an R by their name. So people are just changing their party affiliation from Democrat to Republican or independent to Republican so they can get elected. And they haven't changed at their core. Their values are not conservative. They're not Republican, but they have an R by their name. So that's our problem here in Oklahoma, is the Republicans have a supermajority, yet all of the true conservative legislation is being shut down. So we have to have a major change from the inside out. And we are seeing a conservative resurgence here.
And, a lot of times when we bring on, or I bring on people like yourself, it's kind of a softball interview, which is okay, because if you're on the right side of history, go for it. Win, win, win. I don't care. But let me switch over to hardball just slightly. So you mentioned there that a number of people switched from a D to an R, right? In D.C., they call them the R's and the D's, right? So in Oklahoma, are you saying that if we were to do some fact checking, that there have been a number of state or federal or local, whether it's a county supervisor, that people have switched from D to R just to be elected?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And, Oklahoma, its roots have been Democrat. And so it started as a blue state, and it has slowly transitioned to more and more conservative. And so just being in the South, the conservative values are the fabric of who we are. And so it was only natural that this would transition into a Republican dominated state. But absolutely, there's evidence across the state of those who have switched their party affiliation, whether this is some master plan to get elected or if this was a true change of conviction. But we highly doubt the true change of conviction when we're seeing what's happening in our capital, when we're seeing what bills are allowed to go through and what bills are being stalled. So the conservatives are getting frustrated, and they're fully behind me. The grassroots movement is behind me to say we want to challenge the big money. And that's what I represent. That's what this campaign represents.
It's awesome to see that, because you know what? Regardless of a D or an R, we see it here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, what people are saying across the union. We are not ignorant to the word uniparty. We understand what rhino means. We understand what that all is about. So again, having someone that is on the side of the people that love God, family, and country like yourself, sir, best of luck to you. It would be great to have you back on the broadcast, especially as we see the primary coming up. Any last word here as we're about to close our broadcast to the people watching for our Freedom 250 coming up, of course, July 4th, in about, 22 days from today?
No, it's such an exciting time to celebrate our freedom. And it's just a call to remember what that freedom is about. And I always say with great freedom comes great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. And so we need to exercise our voice, exercise our vote. For those listening in Oklahoma, you got to get out and vote June 16th. It's very critical you do this. You can find out more about my campaign at jakemerrickforgovernor.com. And I appreciate the opportunity this morning.
Awesome. Jake, thank you so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Good stuff. Great stuff there. as the clock is now ticking to 3 o'clock on the East Coast, 12 o'clock there on the West Coast. Come on now, 3 o'clock. It's about to change on the bottom left of your screen. It did on my iPad. There it is. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us, guys. This has been a fun 2 hours. If you haven't watched the whole thing, hopefully you can replay some of this. We have a lot of interviews today, including, of course, Lee Greenwood and others, including the Texas Representative Keith Self, Jake Merrick, some people of names you might not have heard of, but bringing heard of, like also Representative Click out of Ohio earlier. It's always good to just bring people on that are on the right side of history, and great to see it. Looking forward to June 24th, by the way. Of course, President Trump's America is Back rally. We'll be having that coverage here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Now, this is all brought to you by some great sponsors, including mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the Father's Day sale, you see it right there. A lot of great products, a lot of great gifts, and Father's Day is, June 21st? So hopefully you can get a gift there for Dad. mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate. For all of us here at Right Side, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Have a great weekend. If there's breaking news, you know where to find us. We'll see you later.